We went down there to finish the album. We recorded down at Tree Sounds, which Lil Wayne recorded. Pretty much anybody has recorded at Tree Sounds. People were trying to sneak food in there. And he pulled this box of Popeyes out of his kid's bag. And it's look at this. We got a fat one. This guy wants to fucking eat. What do you think we're going to feed you?
Was that a shout out to the Bombers, by the way?
Come on, man. BC Bombers, you know what it is. 3-time national championship.
You beat the Bobcats, didn't you?
Yeah,
I just want to shout out.
For the record, I know that I don't know what year anniversary we're on, but yeah, man.
You had sent me a Snapchat the other day of one of your kids was walking around listening to one of your songs.
Yeah.
So your creativity has created something that they can take with them the rest of their lives and listen to. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Because he's
John Selmeyer.
I am pleased to welcome a man who has carved out a beautiful life, a man who has ventured from Missouri to Cali and back again. He is a devoted father to 3 amazing sons, a former military member who served in South Korea. He has some beautiful music on streaming under the stage name Hendo Soul.
Yeah.
And last but not least, he's one of my oldest and dearest friends, someone I've admired and grown with since kindergarten. Please welcome the great James Henderson.
Thank you, man. What an introduction. Thanks, bro. That was really cool.
Ooh, welcome. How's it going, man?
You know what? Today's a great day. It's beautiful here in Missouri. Got to watch some T-ball. It's been great. I'm doing great. How are you been?
I'm doing good. The weather is absolutely beautiful. I hope we don't get a switch up Missouri weather, 50-degree week again.
Mood you out.
Snow and then a tornado, but
you never know.
It's been beautiful. So I wanted to give you a quick second. If you want to plug anything, if you want to, I know on Spotify. Yeah. I was listening to some of your music under Hendo Soul.
Yeah.
Beautiful music.
Thank you.
If there's anything else you want to do.
Man, yeah. Well, we're dropping an album. We're going to drop it this fall. We haven't decided on an exact date yet. But in the meantime, we're going to drop 4 singles this summer. I am very, very, very excited for that. But yeah, you can check all of that out, Hendo Soul, at Apple Music or on Spotify and on YouTube. And we're dropping a documentary before the album.
Ooh, a documentary.
Yeah, we're dropping a documentary.
Am I allowed to ask, is it like behind the scenes? What are we going to get a glimpse of?
You're going to see, so the album took about 3 years to make and has taken on multiple iterations, and we filmed different pieces of the process. But this last week and a half, 2 weeks, I don't know. I went to Atlanta not too long ago, and essentially we recut the entire album and we chopped up some of the beats, and we just basically, I got an executive producer. We flew out an engineer from the Bay, and I invested in my music. I invested in the album and took these songs and turned them into records. We wanted to document that process. And shout out to my executive producer, AJ from AA Sounds. He is incredible. Not only did he executive produce the album, but he did all of the logistics for the entire time down in Atlanta, from like my place where I was staying to the studios that we used to the hiring the camera guy, all of that stuff. So all I had to do was just show up, pay the money, and do my job, which was sing. It gives you a behind the scenes process at the cook-ups at the house where we were chopping up some of these beats and fixing stuff that we didn't like or we wanted to fix. And then you see the recording days, because I did 13 songs in a day, the entire album. You see the entire process and the energy and the emotion behind it. And I paid big money for some people who knew exactly what they were doing to come out and add to the music. So you get to see all of that.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see that. That sounds awesome.
It's going to be dope.
And I think that's a good segue, because when we get towards the end, I want to focus specifically on your music.
Yeah.
But you didn't come from nowhere.
Right.
You have a whole life story I want to get into.
Let's do it.
You have a whole lot I want to talk about. So I want to dive into the journey of you both creatively and personally. We're going to talk about your time in the military.
Yeah.
Discuss some of your thoughts on the music industry, and I have a pop quiz for you later. And maybe dive into some more of a personal realm. But first, I want to talk about some childhood memories.
Let's
James.
do it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
You're talking about music, and I think about your stage presence in kindergarten when you were the big bad wolf in the Three Little Pigs play in kindergarten. Do you remember this?
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was first grade.
Oh, was it first grade?
It was first grade, because I was in Mrs. Graham's class. And I wore her, And that was a real fur. That wasn't no, you know what I mean? That wasn't, that thing was hot. I do remember that. That was real fur. But yeah, that was first grade. And I was the big bad wolf in was it the Three Piggy Opera?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you think at that moment you were like, I kind of like this?
I don't, to be honest, later in life, I look back on it and I was like, yeah, no, that probably was that should have been a side. But at the time, I was like a boy's boy. So like I was football, I was Hot Wheels. So like that was just fun to do. I didn't even think about it in that regard.
Second memory I want to share. You've always been kind of an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. We used to shovel driveways, 2 men and a shovel.
Yeah, 2 men and a shovel.
Shiny would be pissed right now because he called it 3 men and a shovel, but it was really 2 men and a shovel. And I remember one time specifically, I went over to your house. You had a whiteboard set up, and you were like, we're going to hit this house and this house and this house. And you had some houses lined up, but you had made like a delicious feast.
Yeah.
And you made some sliced ham. I remember specifically the ham is what I remember. But oh my God, it was delicious.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. What's funny is that came to life in the documentary for sure. But that's just something I learned from my parents, that like you got to take care of the people that you work with, and the number one way that we could do that is food. And that's like what I knew at the time. So I see my parents do it all the time. You go to a meeting, there's a big spread, everyone can eat and focus kind of thing. But yeah, you gotta plan for success. And there was a lot of houses that we had to hit and not a whole lot of daytimes. So we had to figure that out.
And we were going to multiple neighborhoods.
Yeah. We by the time we got because that started in middle school. By the time we got licenses and I was driving, but we had people, and Facebook was a thing.
I was going to say by the time you started driving, because you could drive before me.
That's true. Yeah.
And you were like, we're going to drive in the snow. And I was like, oh my God. I'm scared as hell right now. But
yeah. To this day, I'm not scared of it, but it's for that moment. I learned how to drive in the snow in the minivan, but also that minivan had a V6 in it and all-wheel drive. So like, we're you know what I'm saying? We were all right. The kids were all right. Yeah, you take all the seats out of the back of it, load all the stuff in there, It was a good time. It got a little cold. We didn't prepare for what we were wearing, but hey man, there was a lot of money to be made and we made it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And then I spent it all on video games.
Bro. Video games, candy. I tell people all the time, we were in middle school when they did the first Mountain Dew competition. Remember that?
Yeah.
Dog. I spent all of my free money on Supernova and we lost. And I was so hurt. It was the purple one. I was so hurt. Yeah, man. And then I spent the rest of my money on like collecting up all the Supernovas from like gas stations around. Mm-hmm. It was sad. It was a sad time. Yeah, it was a good time.
Well, good times. And then performing in garages and basements.
Yeah.
You had started multiple bands throughout our childhood. Mm-hmm. One thing you did that was so impressive. Oh my God. You took the King of the Hill theme song and made it a rock song that was extended.
Yeah.
And I go into this basement and you're down there with Little John. Yeah. However you want to call him, Big John or Little John.
Little John.
And then Shiny.
Yeah.
And you were like, 1, 2, 3. And you guys just performed this. And it blew my mind away. I was like, you guys are going to be like screwing around. Yeah. It's not going to sound that good. And you just put on like a concert.
Yeah. No,
it was incredible.
That you just unlocked a memory for me. I actually do remember that. Yeah. No, shout out to both of them. Matt was a real musician. He was, you know what I mean? Like that guy really cared about music and he practiced. And, John was a natural player and he really cared about music. So that was really cool. Yeah. Yeah. No, I tell people that people who really know me know that like I was in a punk band and like I did that kind of thing growing up. I guess it was just one of the benefits of growing up out here. Actually, I'm working on a TV show about my life growing up, out in Raymore as a middle-class black family in the 90s and the 2000s kind of thing. But yeah, man, because like I tell people all the time, my life was a movie. You were there. Our lives, it was a movie, man. It was a lot of stuff. We did a lot of stuff. I mean, we had the like American childhood. But yeah, that was really dope. No, thank you, by the way. Yeah, shout out to those guys. They really knew how to play. And shout out to Matt's dad because he built a stage in their basement.
Was that
practice room for us?
Built for you guys?
Yeah, for us because
I didn't know that.
Toby was letting us practice in his basement, right? And everything was kosher. But I think John had brought a girl over. I forgot her name. But he brought a girl over and they were playing grab ass under the deck and Toby was like, nope, You gotta, yeah, you gotta go. So like we were all bummed, and Matt's dad was like, "What, you need a practice room? I could build your practice room." And he literally went in there, bro, cleared that bad boy out, fixed his dad is like a master craftsman. Like he could do it all. He even made the stage. Like I watched this man make a bunch of cuts in this wood and then like screw it in place and bend it. I'm like, bro, Mr. George, I didn't even know you could do that.
That's insane.
Yeah, no, he was nuts, bro. Watching him work and getting to work with him was so much fun. But yeah, shout out to those guys. That was a really dope time in my life. And it definitely, I still have some of the songs that I wrote in that era. Like it's somewhere. I have it protected in a little page protector and in a binder or whatever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And to paint a picture for everyone listening, picture in a pretty spacious basement, a stage, and then on the walls, there's this vibrant orange.
Yeah.
And then there's like black outlines that are spiky everywhere. It looked like you were on the set of a punk band.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah. He let us paint, and he let us design what it looked like on the inside kind of thing. And then you put a snake. They had a snake cage in the background, and they put an actual snake in there. So yeah. Shout out to Mr. George, MJG.
MJG?
Yeah, MJG.
James, these stories give everyone a sense of the roots that you came from.
Yeah,
and set the stage for the person that you've became.
for sure.
One thing I was curious if you wanted to speak on was, is it called hemiotrophy?
Oh, you're talking about my birth defect?
Yes.
So it's called Poland syndrome.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to elaborate on it? Tell everyone what it is?
Yeah. So
And didn't you give a presentation? I think it was like kindergarten on it, right?
it might have been kindergarten, first grade, somewhere in there. Whenever I did my first surgery, so
I think it was Miss Butler's class.
it might have been kindergarten.
Which I was like, this dude's giving a presentation and we're in kindergarten. Like, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I was a different kid, man. I don't know what to say. I actually did give a couple presentations throughout. Were you in Mrs. Vines' class for 3rd and 4th grade?
I was not. No.
Okay, yeah, you missed out, first of all.
Okay.
One of the dopest teachers. First, she kept me. You know what I mean? Like, she was my teacher in 3rd and 4th grade. She was like, nah, I don't want to leave these guys. These are
wow.
Yeah, I swear to God. But yeah, she let me do a presentation on Black history when I was a jit. So yeah, shout out to her. But yeah, I did. I talked about it. I think I had a surgery. And I think one of the ways that I coped as a kid was like learning everything that I could learn about it, which sucked because it was very sparse as far as like information. And I've never actually met somebody in person, but I did meet this one lady at this job I worked at before I moved to LA, whose son had Poland syndrome. But I also have a rare form of it because like typically it happens on your right hand and it's a malformation. Folks that suffer from it, like I don't have a pectoralis muscle on my left, like a pectoralis major. I don't have that. And then my left hand and my left arm is smaller, visibly smaller than my right. Typically I don't talk about it just because if you don't know, you don't notice, you know what I mean? And then like, you know, also I was in the military and I played football and like, you know what I mean? Like, so I'd never let it like be something that stopped me from doing what I wanted to do in life. If anything, it was like, I don't know, when I did win, I would just talk more like, I only got one hand. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was a motivating thing for me. I don't know. Shout out to my parents too, though. It hasn't stopped me from doing anything. And for those people that deal with it, you know, you probably deal with nicknames like strong hand and you get these shitty jokes. It's fine, bro. You know what I mean? It's fine. Just take it on the chin and become a funny person and let it roll because you're never going to change that part of who you are. But it's all mental. You know what I mean? Like your body and your mind, they work for you. They do what you tell it to do kind of thing. Yeah, so it's never been like a barrier or anything like that. I spent my time in the military, played football. I did everything that I wanted to do in life. And shout out to my surgeon, Dr. Rass, because he saved my hand and gave me a lot more mobility in it. And so like I play piano. I do what I want to do kind of thing. So, but yeah, it's super rare. I never got like teased about it because people didn't know. Mm-hmm. And then like when my friends knew, like they were the ones who talked the most shit about it, but like, no, it's my friends, you know what I mean? Like it is what it is. And then I garnered the nickname Strong Hand in like 8th grade because I would go, you know, we go to Memorial Park on half days and we play football with like the varsity football players and shit. And yeah, one of them saw one day, like, I got Strong Hand. He's on my team.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that stuck with me until they graduated. So that kind of sucked. But, you know, it is what it is.
Okay. Yeah. And I can tell, have you done a lot of interviews before? I had like 3 or 4 questions laid out for you about this, and you just answered every single one. You just knocked it out. Boom, 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 boom.
Technically, I Well, I haven't done like any like super formal interviews, but I've done like I've done a couple of little documentary snippet things, and then like I was on Kimmel. I was on Jimmy Kimmel once.
Oh yeah, I saw you.
Yeah, I was on Kimmel once. I got interviewed in the streets, but yeah, this is like this is my, I guess my superpower, if you will. Is that like my mom called it the gift of gab, but like I guess I don't know how to describe it, but like words, I get them. You know what I mean?
Rock and roll. Yeah.
Throw them bad boys around, but, and then I do like stadium announcing, whatnot now. So like, it just trains you on being very like specific and proficient in like what you're trying to say and like the whatever energy you're trying to evoke in the conversation kind of thing. Yeah, man. No, I haven't had any like formal training or anything. I think I had one class on it in college, but this is me.
Yeah. No, awesome. No, I love it. Okay. We talked about growing up, some childhood memories.
Yeah.
I think next, after you graduated, essentially, is that when you had joined the military?
Yes.
Can you tell me about why did you decide to join and what was the process like?
Well, long story short, I had a kid really young, and ultimately the decision was made because like, both of my parents were in the military, and I got to live the kind of life that I lived. So I thought to myself, like, okay, well, if they can do it, I can do it. And then if I do it, a lot of these issues that people have to deal with, I don't have to deal with. Like they took care of the cost of all three of my children being born. So it just was like to me, it was a smart thing to do. Like I could just, for the next 4 years, I know that I'll be able to put a roof over my kid's head. I'll be able to feed them, and we'll travel the country, the world, and do all kinds of cool stuff. It just made the most sense, and that's why I did it. I didn't really want to, but sometimes you gotta do things to take care of your family. That's how I got through basic training.
So let me ask the most stereotypical question.
Yeah.
Basic training, boot camp. When you see movies, is it anything like the movies whatsoever?
So let me break it down. There's 3 phases of like the Army basic training. I'll just tell you about the Army because that's what I was in.
Okay.
Everyone's is a little bit different, and in the Army, there's 3 phases of basic training. It's red phase, white phase, and blue phase. Okay. Before you get there, right? This is the part that they don't talk about in like the movies or TV or anything. But before you get to basic training, so to speak, you get to basic training, you have to go through what's called reception. And it's like, have you ever seen a cow getting like ready for like the auction? That was us for a week, bro. Not to mention like the whole process is kind of nerve wracking. The night before you go to basic training, you have to go and you have to check in at MEPS, and then they give you a hotel room. Luckily, I went on the buddy program with Joe. So, me and him were in the same hotel room. So we go stay in the hotel room. We get up dummy early. We eat this breakfast. And then we get into this thing and they take us to the airport, right? Then my group, I was the leader of my group. We flew to Atlanta. I had never been to Atlanta's airport at that point. I had just turned 19. So we're all trying to figure this thing out. It's huge. They gave us food vouchers. So we're trying to find food. We run into this chaplain and this preacher guy. And he's like, I just want to pray for you. God has led me to pray for the troops right now. And so he like starts praying for us or whatever, which was cool. But then he prayed for so long, like this drill sergeant runs up and he's like, if you're joining the U.S. Army, you need to get in line right here. And like, I walk up to the drill sergeant. I was like, hey, drill sergeant, we haven't eaten yet. Can we get something to eat from one of the stalls around here? He's like, I don't give a damn if you ain't ate in 3 years, boy. Get over here. And I'm like,
oh my God.
Yeah. So my whole group, me and everybody that I was with, we didn't eat. We didn't eat when we got off the plane. And it was like, at this point, it's probably like 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. And what's crazy is I just went through the Atlanta airport because I went to Atlanta a couple of weeks ago. And they have it set up in the dumbest way possible. But I have Clear. Do you know what Clear is?
I do not know.
Clear is it's like this thing that you use at the airport. It does like facial identification and like allows you to skip the line. It's
I've heard
one
of
them.
that.
Yeah, it's one of them like little. People call it bougie. I just don't like airports. So like, the least amount of people I could be around is like I'm about to get my TSA pre-check.
Yeah.
And then once anyway. So the way they have it set up in Atlanta is so stupid. If you don't have Clear with TSA pre-check, you have to go downstairs and you have to go through the Clear line down there, which is next to another general admission line. And it's just a long ass line and it defeats the entire purpose of having Clear. Anyway, so I'm in this line And this guy, he has like this little, I don't know if he had a seizure or what, but he just kind of passes out on his wife and people are trying to help him out. And I look to my left and I see this door. And you know me, I have photographic memory. So like when I see something and I've been there or I've, you know what I mean? Or it's connected to like a memory, I'm like flashback instantly. So I'm looking at this door and I'm like, no, fuck, this is not the room. And then I look, I turn around me and I see the hallway. Behind me is this hallway that leads out to these buses. And at the time, that was the hallway that they had us all sit in crisscross applesauce. And then we stood up and then we got to these buses and they drove us from the airport to Fort Benning, Georgia. But I'm standing there, I'm looking and I'm like, that's not the door. It was the door. That was the room. It was the room. So like when the drill sergeant came and got us, he takes us down to this room and we have to sit in this room. And it's just a long line, a daisy chain. And they're shuffling people around by their last name. What's your last name? Mm-hmm. So they're shuffling you around, trying to get you an alphabetical order thing. And I just remember being hungry and like scared and I didn't know what to do. My phone was kind of dying. And like, you know what I mean? Like I was just like, I'd never been this far away from my family. Like, and this is all before we get there. So then you get to basic training and you don't go straight into basic training. You go to reception and it's like this holdover. It's purgatory, if you will, right? Like you're not in the army just yet. And they make it very clear you're not in the army. You haven't done shit to even earn the uniform that's on your back is what you're told from the moment you're there. So mind you, we get there, they do a shakedown, they make sure you don't have any like illegal items. I was watching them take people's Popeyes and whatnot out of the bag. Like people were trying to sneak food in there. And they like pulled this box of Popeyes out of his kid's bag. And it's like, look at this. We got a fat one. This guy wants to fucking eat. What do you think we're going to feed you? And then they don't call you private yet because you're not a private. Mm-hmm. You haven't earned that. You haven't earned anything yet. Yeah. Right. So then, like I said, you're like a cow. And so over the next week, if you're lucky, 5 days, right? Like we were counting down the days till we got to go to basic training because while you're there, you can send letters, can't receive them because you're not in the army yet. Like you have to get, vaccinated and you got to get the uniform and your dog tags, you got your pay set up. And so I remember that specifically in that process when you get, and it's different for each base, but I was at Fort Benning. So I got the peanut butter shot, which is this long needle they stick in your butt. And like, if you don't, like stretch it, the whatever is in it, the penicillin and whatever else crystallizes and it just hardens and it makes your whole like muscle harden up kind of thing. And the only way to relieve it, and they made us spend our own money to go buy these D batteries, but you had to buy D batteries and sit on them or rub it to break up the crystallized whatever. Yeah. And that's before you ever made it. And then you make it in there. And then you once you get out of reception, the first day of basic training, you drive up in the buses and you open the door and all hell breaks loose. It is like they start throwing sim grenades and like they have machine guns up on the hill with blank rounds just blaring and they're playing war sounds and the drill sergeants are running up and they have like smoke grenades popping off and it's like, they call it a shark attack. And they just, there's just a bunch of grown ass men with these green hats poking into the side of your head, screaming at you. It's like everyone around you is typically around the same age. They're all 17, 18, 19 years old. Mm-hmm. So all of us are having the same like, oh shit. And you can see people's like fight or flight. Me personally, boy, I grabbed my bag, put it on my head like they were yelling and they're like, hold it above your head. And so I held it above my head and I was just walking forward. I was just trying to figure out what we do next. You know what I mean? Like just stay calm, walk forward, figure it out. But yeah, basic training was hard, but it was also fun. It was one of the funniest times of my life because I have a good time doing anything. So like, yeah, man, you just kind of learn to embrace the suck and like, the things that are probably scary and shouldn't be funny are extremely funny.
Okay, because one story you had told me about when you came back.
Yeah.
Was you went into, essentially, you had to put on a gas mask.
Yeah.
Go into a building, take off the gas mask.
Yes.
But then you said the drill sergeant had like punched you in the stomach or something.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so like I said, there's 3 phases of basic training, right? And in red phase, there's the very beginning phase. You have no rights. You're a grunt. You got to earn everything. You have to learn like the soldier's creed and all this other stuff. There's all kinds of stuff you got to learn, right? Mm-hmm. But one of the very first like activities you do as a group, you do like this obstacle course, and then the next day you do the gas chamber. So basically, you go into the gas chamber, right? They have you don your mask and clear it to make sure it's working properly. And then they have a couple NCOs in there that will then take the gas, or I forgot what kind of gas it is, but they light this gas off its little capsules and they burn it. And then the room starts filling up, starts getting hard to breathe. You have the mask on. Then they make you take your mask off, right? Mm-hmm. And then they ask you what your last name and your social is, right? To identify, like on your dog tag kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And so the reason I got jabbed in the stomach was because I was trying my best to like breathe through my teeth. So I was like, all right. His name was Josar. I'm throwing his name out there. I'm sorry, Josar. He got the favorite. He jabbed me in the stomach. It's like, what's your goddamn name? It's social private. And I started choking, and I'm like trying to like, and I'm like literally spitting on this man, trying to get it out. It was horrendous. It was terrible. But like I will say, when you get out, they make you do some stuff. My eyes are open, my arms are flapping. My eyes are open, my arms are flapping. But then like you do it for a little bit, and then about like 2-3 minutes into saying that, you like take a deep breath, and it's the clearest your nasal cavity has ever been in your entire life, man. If whatever, it flushes everything, and you're just. And then like I took this deep breath, and we're like in the hills of Georgia somewhere, and all of a sudden I was like, wow, this is beautiful. And then I go to wipe my eyes, like, oh, God damn it. Oh. And Josar walks over. Oh yeah, privates, do not rub your face. Do not rub your face. You get back to the barracks, you need to wash these uniforms, but do not rub your face. It's after I'm like rolling on the ground, like, oh. Yeah, that was like the first couple weeks, man, and everybody has to do it. That was just one of the few moments in the military where I was like, this was stupid. Why did we do this? But it's fun.
Many mental and physical changes, it sounds like.
Man, listen, let me tell you something. It was between the ruck marches and then like started getting cold. And so we had to do PT tests. But imagine running 2 miles and it's 30-some degrees outside and you're in shorts and a t-shirt. Your feet start to feel like icicles after a minute. So that kind of sucked. I'm not a big fan of heights, and there are a lot of heights involved. We do these things called FTXs, which are field training exercises, and you have to do 3 of them throughout your time in basic training. And on the third one, it was historically one of the coldest winters in Georgia. And so we're outside in a foxhole, right, with nothing but like a poncho that's clipped together with somebody else's poncho. Mm-hmm. And then you take a stick and some 550 cord. We made a little tent over our foxholes. And my battle buddy was a dude by the name of Hand, last name Hand. And I remember laying in our sleeping bags, and I was like, Hand? He was like, yeah, man. I was like, what? Was this really worth it? He's like, I don't know, dog. He's like, I don't know, man. We just got to see it through at this point. So what you do when you're at these field training exercises is you pretend like you're out in a fob, right? And you have to defend the base, and then there's a platoon that goes out to do whatever mission or fight against the enemy or whatever, right? So you spend a couple nights inside the base, and each platoon spent a night outside the base. So when it was our time to go out, you don't get led by your NCOs, you get led by a cadet from West Point. You've never met this person before. Like, this is literally, like, you meet him, like the day, like as soon as you're in formation, getting ready to like leave, your drill sergeant's like, all right, privates, don't embarrass us. And then they just disappear. Where the fuck are you going? Like, what? You're not going to lead us out here, bro? And then this random, like, this guy is just a couple years older than some of us, but like, you know, he's got the little bar on his chest. Yeah. Imagine like your parents just drop you off with a random stranger and you're like kind of old enough to fend for yourself. But yeah, so we're out patrolling and doing our little mission or whatever. And everybody laid down for the night. But we were like, we were stationed on a hill. So like when I laid in my sleeping bag on my little mat, I just kept sliding. I was like sledding. I just kept sliding down the hill, right? So like I would fall asleep and I feel myself and I'm like, Hand, I'm going. Hand, here I go. Hand, I'm gone. I just slide down the hill. And you know, while we were out, we were supposed to get attacked. And so our like NCO or our CO guy, he sneaks off to ambush us. He ambushes us, and we're supposed to all like return fire and do a bunch of like stuff. 90% of my platoon was dead, sleep. You know what I mean? Like, it was me and Hand, and we had blanks, so like we were like really shooting. And I think I only had an M16, but I think Hand had a machine gun. or somebody around us had a machine gun. I think it was Hand. But yeah, we fired back at the enemy. We're like, oh yeah, the enemy. We're like yelling all this stuff and like I'm firing and whatever. And like the CEO comes over. He's like, hey guys, I'm really glad that you're awake and alert. You did a good job. He's like, but I just want to let you know, almost all your battle buddies over here on this wall are dead. You guys all shot him in the back of the head.
Oh no. Oh no.
I was like, sir, I just was trying to kill the enemy. But yeah, man, basic training was that's why I have to do this TV show, bro, because people have to see. Like basic training was terrifying, it was funny, it was liberating, it hardened you a little bit, but yeah, overall, because of the people I was around, like my platoon I had some of the funniest people in the world. My boy Madden, Hand, King.
Also, can I ask, did you get a nickname while you were there?
Hendo is mine. Yeah, you know me. I earned a nickname. Well, I earned some bad spotlights in basic training because I was kind of a little hot-headed at the time. But you know, we grew through it. But yeah, man, basic training was scary. It was fun. It's like Boy Scout camp, but there's always just an angry man standing around you. Yeah, dude, I could talk about basic training forever just because the stories we had in there. There's the drill sergeant his favorite phrase was "Let me fuck the chicken." He like, "Let me fuck the chicken, private. Let me fuck the chicken." I'm like,
what does that mean?
Let me figure it out. I got it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, I got it. I got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was an old dude from the Caribbean. It was a wild time. It was crazy.
And then after boot camp, I know specifically at one point you were in South Korea.
Yes.
What was that whole experience like?
At the time, I think I just turned 20 right before I went to Korea. Yeah, I just turned 20. Again, I'm going to be honest with you. The very beginning of it was terrifying. It was absolutely scary because I'd never flown anywhere that long in my life.
Oh, how long was the flight?
16 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, 16 hours. And it was a long day too because I'd flown from Kansas City to, I think it was Seattle. And then I had this long layover in Seattle.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we hopped on a plane and it was old. Like it had VHS kind of like TVs on the plane. Yeah, it was a military plane. I think it was a double decker if I'm not mistaken. It was a big plane. And the girl I sat next to on that jet, I actually ended up being stationed with her later in my career. But yeah, it was scary, man. They fed us and we watched movies. And we almost died when we landed in Japan. And then because we landed with this military jet, we all had to be like held in a room that was basically the size of this basement. And there was like, I don't know, 200, 300 something people.
Wow.
Kids. It was terrible.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was awful. Then we flew from Japan into Korea, and we got bused from Osan Air Force Base up to Yongsan, which is like in northern South Korea. It's up by Seoul. It's a borough of Seoul. So like think of New York and its boroughs. That's Yongsan, like Itaewon and Incheon and that kind of stuff when you're talking about Seoul. So we go up there, and then we have to do, once again, you have to do the in-processing, which is, they put you in like these military-style bunks with a bunch of people you don't know. I got sent down to Area 4 to Camp Carroll, which I don't even think Camp Carroll exists anymore. But I was sent down there, and you take another long bus ride. And then you get down there, and you got to in-process, and they take you up to the barracks, and they give you your barracks key, and you got to sign for a bunch of stuff. And then you go meet your roommate, my roommate. Shout out to my boy, Roy. I walked in there. He was, bro, so kind. He had like a smaller monitor that he had upgraded from that he let me use. And like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, he was a real homie. We leaned on each other. That was, to this day, we're very, very, very close. We're very close. I'll call him randomly.
Can I ask you two stereotypical questions about South Korea?
Sure.
Did you ever have to get close to the North Korea border at all? Mm-hmm. What was that? Was it intense? What was that whole experience like?
It's really crazy. You can go on a tour of it, and I actually did, and I got my dad. He has the black in his basement, but I got him like a piece of the DMZ or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it is really intense. Like both sides have like these towers. When we were over there, we were at the range one day, and I think that there were a couple like Korean soldiers that were patrolling the borders. and they had stepped on a landmine and got their legs blown off kind of thing.
Wow.
There was like this like agreed upon ceasefire, but they never actually ended the war. And what ended it was that South Korea was pumping propaganda, like literally over loudspeakers. It was like a professional diss track. Like somebody in Korean was just talking shit about Kim Jong-un and his administration, and they were just pumping it over these speakers over the border. And so in response, North Korea, which normally whenever the military does their exercises over there in South Korea, they'll shoot a missile or whatever, but they'll shoot it into like the ocean, you know?
Yeah.
Just so happens that we were out in the field, and this was around the end of my time in Korea. And I step out of my truck and I look up, and there was this like what I thought was a shooting star, and I like make a little wish on it. And then like I open my eyes, I look at it, and it's not a shooting star, and it lands, like it keeps going for a little bit, and then it heads towards the ground, and I was like, oh Jesus, and it lands and like feel the rumbling and all this other stuff. And so basically, North Korea had shot a missile, and it landed on the action, like it landed on South Korea kind of thing. Wow. They just shot it to farmland, so like nobody got hurt. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so then like everyone like militarized, and like then we had to like we had to walk around with like pro masks, like our gas mask on our waist or whatever. I think there was a couple weeks there where like we weren't allowed. We were under, it's called General Order 1, and it's basically where like we're not allowed to drink or anything like that. We have to be ready for warfare kind of thing. We do that for like when they're doing training, but there's after that like it got kind of spicy for a second, and then they actually like officially signed the treaty and everything. But yeah, so like the DMZ it's crazy looking. Korea's a beautiful country, but the DMZ is nuts.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really intense.
And then the second question I was going to ask, the locals, the food, what was the experience like just on a day off, going in, trying some delicious cuisine?
Okay. That was the best part of Korea. Like once you get over the first couple weeks of being there, and again, shout out to my boy Roy, because he made it really easy. But then like I started kicking it with my platoon really early there too. Even when we went right outside the gate of the base that we were staying at, there was this restaurant called Countries, and it was this family-owned restaurant, and everything they had this fried egg over it, but it was like a crispy, you know what I mean? Like you could like dice it up into like squares because it was thin, crispy. It was cooked to perfection every single time. But there was Countries, and there was Good Neighbor had this roasted duck and this creamy cheese corn. The food, oh man. And then there was a market down the street when you actually got down into, we lived in Wagon. That was where the base was at. So when you go down into Wagon, they had their market and their strawberries like this. It was crazy. But yeah, the food, the culture, the nightlife, the train system. Yeah, Korea's was incredible. I'm trying to go back. I've been talking to some of my friends, and I think I'm going to go back. But yeah, I mean, I would, if you haven't gone, you have to go. And to say this, a country that like, 50, 60, 70, however long it's been since the Korean War, like they were decimated. Like that country was almost non-existent. Yeah. For them to be where they are now and be like one of the global leaders in technology and all this stuff, bro, it's incredible. It is incredible. But like the food, and they've taken capitalism and they cleaned it up. It's very westernized. It's the most, I think between them and Japan, they're the most westernized Asian cultures. They love R&B and like hip hop and soul, and like there's just so much culture, and like, yeah, man. And we stayed, like I said, we stayed in Wagon, which is like these little rice fields, and it was like 20, it's essentially the Raymore of Kansas City for Daegu. And Daegu is the third largest city in Korea, I believe.
You're convincing me right now that I should move there.
You have to, man. And Daegu is the fashion capital. So if you like clothes and shoes and all that stuff, like that's where you found it. But there was a restaurant out there called, it was a Thursday Party. And we used to go to this place called Juilliard's, was the club we go to out in Daegu. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was incredible. Then if you want to take your wife somewhere serene and beautiful for an anniversary, like something you really want to blow her mind, take her to Jeju Island in the spring. Okay. In Korea, in South Korea. As good as I am with my words, it's hard for me to like really explain Korea. I think the country is the size of Indiana, but like the architecture and the whole experience. There was this hill called the Hill 303 outside of Camp Carroll, and it was significant because like a lot of people died on it in the battle back then. But we marched it one time, or not marched it, but we like hiked it as a platoon, as a let's do something fun as a group kind of thing. And when you got to the top and you like look over the city and everything else, like it's gorgeous, bro. It's really, really pretty. And their food's fantastic. Even the hole in the wall places are just, especially like for Korean barbecue or like even hot pot or anything.
Oh, yeah.
Once you get over there, it's so affordable.
Really?
Yeah, it's not expensive at all. Even to be in like the high class, like super luxury, it's not super crazy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Well, James, I wanted to say thank you for your service.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
It's awesome that you got to do that and that you've served our country. And then for anybody who wanted to join the military or any takeaways you have, if you just have anything you want to add at the end of just reflecting on your military career in general.
I'll say this. If you're not sure what you want to do coming out of high school, join the military. Everyone's like, no, I'd never be a slave to the blah, blah, blah. It's a regular job. Once you get past basic training and like your tech school or AIT is what we call it. Once you get past that, it's a normal job. Yep. You know, you work a 9 to 5, depending on what your job is. But there's some extra stuff because you're in the military. But the benefits that it sets you up with, because I joined to go to school for free. That's why I went.
Yeah.
And to take care of my kids. But the benefits that you get from your time in service, like, and if you do it right, you're young, you don't have any kids, you want to travel the world and see things and hang out with some pretty cool people, join the military. Join the military, ride it out, get out when you're 24, 25 if you'd like. You can go and do college while you're in the military and your degree is paid for. So then you can still get free school after you get out, but you can get out with degrees or, you know, there's all kinds of opportunities within it. So
yeah.
Like I said, if you're not sure about your career path or what you want to do in life, but you want to travel and you want to make some money, join the military. Join the military. If you're scared of combat, join the Air Force. Join the Air Force.
Awesome. Well, great advice. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. And then we've talked about a lot of topics. Mm-hmm. So I thought now would be a good time to focus on your music career.
Yeah.
I had reached out to you, said I wanted you on the podcast. Mm-hmm. You had said, yeah, I'll talk about movies, music. I was like, no, I want to talk about you. But since you had mentioned you want to talk about music, movies, I thought I'd do a little pop quiz for fun.
Okay.
I wrote down a group of artists that I think are underrated. Mm-hmm. I just want to know if you agree with me.
Okay.
And if you think they don't necessarily have to be overrated, you could just say, no, John, I don't think they're underrated. I think they're just a little bit more popular.
Yeah.
Okay. I really got into Lupe Fiasco's last album, Samurai.
Okay.
Do you think Lupe Fiasco is underrated?
For sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Awesome. Royce da 5'9".
Okay.
Yes or no? You can call BS. It's
no,
fine.
I mean, I guess it depends on your music taste. But if you like his music, then yeah, he's considered underrated for sure.
Do you like his music?
I am. It's very dependent on my mood, but I won't say I don't like it. I just listen to a lot more like soul and, you know, R&B and jazz and that kind of thing. I listen to a little bit of everything, but
okay,
you know, typically, unless I'm like getting ready to go play something, they're like, you know, I'm in the gym or something. I need something a little chill.
Gotcha. I've loved this artist so much, and no one talks about him. Amani, which I thought his name was Amane.
Oh, yeah.
But it's Amani.
Yeah, no. Underrated. He's incredible. I just was listening to one of his songs earlier today. He's from when he dropped till now, his growth in his music, yeah. I mean, but that's the other thing we'll get into it, but there's a reason why people like him remain underrated sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, side note, song that always gets stuck in my head. Mm-hmm. It's by him. It's that shimmy, shimmy, ya. That song always gets stuck in my head. But CJ, John, our mutual friend, had told me to listen to him. IDK. Do you listen to IDK at all?
Well, I got to see a face. IDK.
He's like fairly new. I don't know much about him. That's why I was just going to throw that name out there.
Oh, I have like 2 songs of his. Huh. Fire. Underrated. Underrated AF. Yeah. Underrated AF. Sorry, I told you I gotta see. But yeah, no, those are just a couple of his songs that I have liked. Fire.
And then I saved my favorite for last. Run the Jewels, specifically Killer Mike.
Okay. Here's the thing.
Drama.
No drama. I love Killer Mike. I love Killer Mike from a community activist standpoint. I love Killer Mike from a artist standpoint. His last album, I forgot the name of the song that I was listening to on repeat, but yeah, no, underrated. But again, he's underrated because he's educating people, and he's uplifting and he's building kind of thing, and like that's not the role that Hollywood wants the black man to play. So sometimes he gets left out of things, but for those who know, yeah.
Okay, yeah. And to quote Kendrick, critics want to mention they miss when hip hop was happening.
Yeah.
If they did, Killer Mike would be platinum. So, yeah.
Hip hop in its truest form, I think, I won't say it's boring because it wasn't boring to people who liked hip hop, but it got twisted somewhere. And now, don't get me wrong, it's coming back.
2 curveballs.
Yes.
Number 1 is name this rapper.
Okay.
Billboard and Forbes have top 50 rappers. IMDb has top 100. Don't ask me why IMDb has the top 100 rappers list.
That's wild.
This rapper did not appear on Billboard's top 50, did not appear on Forbes top 50, and on IMDb appeared as the 55th best rapper. Okay?
Okay.
He has made songs with Eminem, Busta Rhymes, Hopsin, and Tupac. He has 23 studio albums. And according to Billboard.com, for the category of rap, he has 9 number 1 hits, 23 top 10 hits, and 34 top 100 songs. His first recording was in 1996, and he has also released a new song within the last 2 weeks. Do you know who this is?
Is this Snoop Dogg?
It's not Snoop Dogg. That's a good guess. Actually, that's a good guess.
Okay. His first record is in 96. And he just released another one.
And the biggest hint is he doesn't get the recognition whatsoever. That's the first piece that I wanted to point out.
Oh, is it Tech Nine?
Yeah, it's Tech Nine. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm on fire.
But yeah, Tech Nine. I thought that was interesting. 23 studio albums.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, no, people don't know, but Tech Nine, and he has a dope ass studio space over in Lee Summit that you can rent out over in like his like warehouses and stuff. Yeah, man. He for what he does for himself and his artist and like the career he's built out to do it independently.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you just people think you're from Kansas City, you love Tech Nine. Like I first of all, you just got to respect his artistry, but you have to respect what he's done for the city and what he's done for people underneath him too. So yeah, very underrated for sure.
Also, that recording with Tupac, because I was like, what the heck? I want to listen to this. Mm-hmm. I guess he recorded a song with Tupac. Mm-hmm. There was a Prince sample, so they couldn't publish it. Yeah. Eminem bought the song, took off Tech Nine's verse, replaced it with himself, and then published the song.
Wow. Yeah, that's the music industry.
Is it?
That is the music industry, yeah.
I was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, think about the guy that, get my little boo thing, just say this, I know. That guy's trash. I would publicly say it. That guy's, I'd be like, wherever he came from, they had enough money to clear that sample. Yep. And then because he didn't even change the song. He literally just rapped some crap over the top of an American classic. Yep. Yeah, that's the music industry, bro. That is literally it. That is it. And everyone's doing it even more now. It's actually one of my big pet peeves is like, I love sampling. I grew up on Kanye West and all that kind of stuff, but like, sometimes I don't feel like they sample for the sake of taking this piece of music and getting inspired and making a new piece of music from it, rather than this has been historically a hit with just this age group and in this genre. So let's just see if it goes again thing. And that irks me. Irks me a lot.
Curveball number 2, and this can transition into the last little fun activity I had for us. Mm-hmm. Rap, Mount Rushmore, your top 5, however you want to categorize it. You don't even have to do Mount Rushmore because I know there's 20 great artists.
Yeah.
You don't have to put it down to top 4.
It'd be hard for me to do rap. Well, I can't.
Wait, but here's why it's a curveball.
Yeah.
Why do people always leave Busta Rhymes off of top 5? That drives me insane.
Because a lot of people don't educate themselves on like music. Like there's different types of music listeners, and like a lot of people can only speak to what's popular because that's what they know, right? And they'll listen to what's popular, what's being sold to them as popular kind of thing. So like his chance to reemerge with our generation came with that song with Chris Brown.
Oh, Look at Me Now.
Yeah, Look at Me Now. That was his like moment for our generation, because the generation right before us, they know who he is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's also the thing, like, in our generation. Busta Rhymes came out in like what, the 80s? You know what I mean? He'd been around for a minute by the time that song came out. He doesn't get the recognition that he does for being an MC. Yeah, which, like, because he is crazy, but that's also, you know, Tech Nine, if you think about like what being an MC is or what being a rapper really is. Like, these guys, like, the amount of words that they are saying in this here rap song and making sense out of it is nuts.
Yeah.
It's nuts. But I mean, if you're gonna say that, you gotta throw a twister in there. But that's the thing. Like, my Mount Rushmore right now, if I had to go rappers, just gonna piss some people off, but J. Cole and Kendrick are up there for me. Easy. Man, this is nuts. Who do I listen to rapper wise? Kanye. He's up there.
Even after his current antics.
Hey, man.
I have to ask.
I know.
Obligatory reporter question.
I know. Everyone's mad at Kanye, and I get it. Some of the stuff he's saying is a little outlandish. The whole "I suck my cousin off" thing is all nuts. That's there's no reason. That was definitely oversharing.
Yes.
But, you know, I don't know, man. I try not to get caught up in their personal lives and all the other stuff, other than like for pure, like, I don't know. I try not to pay attention to that. But we grew up on them, you know. Like, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy came out when we were in like middle school.
Yeah.
I remember watching the little movie thing on YouTube,
and the song "All Falls Down."
Yeah.
Every time I hear it, I get goosebumps.
Yeah, man. Some of the stuff he says is wild and outlandish, you know. And so I just try to separate the art from the artist, kind of thing. And he's up there. I have to throw somebody old school up there. You're gonna say I suck, or my Mount Rushmore sucks. But I didn't listen to. That's the other thing. Like, I wasn't allowed to listen to rap music really growing up, like in middle school. I wasn't allowed to listen to a lot of that stuff. So when I did, my first CD ever was Ludacris, Release Therapy. I don't know. Yeah, I would put him on my Rushmore. I'll put him on my Rushmore because he was a pivotal part of my life. So was that 4?
Yeah.
I got one more, right? Or is that it?
You could do those. Usually a Rushmore's 4. If you want to add one more as an honorable mention, feel free.
Okay, honorable mention, Boogie. Not Boogie with a hoodie, but Boogie, West Coast Boogie.
I don't know if I know Boogie. Okay.
I'll send you some of his stuff.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah, he's up there for me.
Yeah, I have to give you kudos because if someone were to hold a gun to my head and say, "Give me your Mount Rushmore,"
Yeah.
I'd be like Biggie, Tupac, Eminem, Jay-Z.
Yeah.
I'd do the most stereotypical answer possible.
Yeah.
So no, that was awesome. I love that.
I try. Ah, damn! And I left off Chance the Rapper. That's crazy. That's what I'm saying. That's hard because like that's not. It's hard. There's so many people. Lil Wayne could be up there for me. Chance the Rapper is also an honorable mention.
Oh yeah.
Acid
the
Rap.
6 comes out in a month.
Yeah. I'm ready. There's a song from him that I've been waiting on for a minute. We'll see if he drops it. But yeah, he liked one of my tweets before. Ooh. Yeah, so shout out to Chance the Rapper. I had said something about opening up for the Black Star Line, and he liked that tweet. So when this album drops, Chance, call me. Have your people call me. I'll come do the Black Star Line in Atlanta, please. It'll be fantastic. They'll love me. I'll love them. It'll be great.
And that might segue into my next question.
Sure.
Before I start talking, I was going to ask you about your career, your artistry, but my final question about, just current hip hop. Is there one artist who inspired you the most? I will say when I'm having a bad day, and I'm sure you already knew this about me, I love Tyler, the Creator.
Yeah.
Since 2011 to now.
Yeah.
Ride or Die, he's my favorite.
Down. Yeah, you've been down.
Number 1.
Yeah.
So who is that for you?
It's hard because my music choice changes around my mood, and I listen to a lot of different music. But, and again, it changes, but like, I've been listening to Chance the Rapper a lot lately. He's probably, if I need a pick-me-up, there's a couple of songs by him that I can listen to. Yeah, I was just looking through. Oh, you know what? No, I have to give Big Sean his credit. There's a song called On Up by Big Sean that just recently is my new one by him that I listen to when I'm having a bad day kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
do you like Ashley by Big Sean?
I don't know if I heard that one.
Oh, I love that
I
song.
have to listen to it.
I'll
I'm
send
very
that to you.
picky. The other thing about being an artist is that I now understand that like you have within a project or an album, you obviously have a theme, but there's always that one song that like goes with the theme, but it's a little bit more out there than the rest of them.
Yeah.
Then you start noticing like some artists like Drake did it for a long time where like he would do a bunch of like really poppy commercial songs and then he'd have one or two where he's really rapping, like really talking about stuff kind of thing. And I feel like Big Sean does that really well. Like he makes club bangers, but he'll have a couple of them that he really talking some shit. Like you got to pay attention. And On Up is one of them that when I listen to it, it gives me goosebumps. I used to think of my kids kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I listen to that one. White Dress by Kanye West. I listen to that a lot. I don't think you count T-Pain as a rapper, but Sounds Bad by T-Pain. That's one of my. Like,
I love T-Pain too.
yeah, that's one of my. If I'm having a day, I put on Sounds Bad, and it puts it all in perspective. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, thank you for indulging me. And
for sure.
these curveballs, I called them the James games.
I like that. I like it a lot.
And I do want to talk about maybe some of your creative process
Sure.
and professional journey.
Yeah.
I heard you were recently in Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
How was all of that?
Man, so I wasn't in the city of Atlanta a whole hell of a lot during this experience. We did go and get some soul food. We went to Binky's. It was actually really nice. But yeah, so how was the experience? Gosh, it was great.
Wait, what is Binky's?
It's a soul food restaurant, man. They had like oxtails and turkey wings. And,
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
It was fire. It was really fire. But yeah, no, so it was a dope trip. We went down there to finish the album, to get it to a point where it's radio ready kind of thing. Like obviously there's the mastering phase, but we had to recut all of the major stuff. We recorded down at Tree Sounds, which Lil Wayne recorded. Pretty much anybody has recorded at Tree Sounds. I think Leon Thomas just did the Mutt Deluxe down in Tree Sounds. But yeah, so that was really dope. The whole trip, how was it? Dope. It was really fun. It was, as an artist, there's very few moments, or at least there's been very few moments where like I truly got to experience what it feels like to be an artist and the boss kind of thing, you know, because when you're an artist, there's only so much control you have when you're under a label kind of thing, and I'm not under a label. And so the budget was completely dependent on me and how much money I felt comfortable with spending kind of thing. But I just was like, I felt like I really had a product that was worth it. And I had multiple people that I had sent the first iteration of the album to that was like, bro, I feel like you got some gold here. We need to polish it. And then that's when AJ had reached out and was like, yo, let me executive produce this album for you. We can get it right kind of thing. So that's what we went down there to do. And that whole process, like I said, you'll see it in the documentary, but it was fun. It was really fun.
I know someone like Lil Wayne would say when they start recording, they go all night long. And he's like, I recorded 30 songs, 40 songs in a night.
Drugs.
Is that true?
Drugs. That's
And
what
then you
that
have
is.
some artists who are more meticulous
Yeah.
and they plan out
Yeah.
what each song is going to be. In that creative process, where do you fall?
That is, first of all, fabulous question. Second of all, I am neither one of those. Obviously, I smoke, but like, basically, so I produced the whole album. Yeah,
Awesome. Well, that's
yeah,
awesome.
I produced pretty much the whole album, and then like AJ, my executive producer, came in and co-produced a couple songs, and basically took them from like, you know, some of them needed some extra love, and he'll put some extra love on it. And some of them that we sat down and was like, hey, we should really flip this and do that. And so I got to give him his credit for that, because the first song of the album, which I will give you a sneak peek of later, the first song of the album is called You Don't Know What's Good for You. And we took it from this like 90s boom bappy kind of song to like, it's hard to even say what it is now. I wrote it. It was the first song that I wrote when I got my keyboard when I got to LA. And I played the keys and I played the organ in it. But it took on this whole different character and this energy and like the emotion and the passion behind it for an opening song. It's easily become one of my favorite songs. Typically what'll happen is sometimes when I'm making the beat, the energy, like I'm not even one of those people who's like, oh, I'm going to make this kind of song or that kind of, I'll just start making something and then it'll decide what it is. And like one the best songs that are my favorite, I don't even say my favorite because I love every song that's on the album. We had like 19 or 20.
Wow.
We slimmed down to 13, yeah.
Nice.
But the songs that are on this album, a lot of them wrote themselves as I was like producing the beat kind of thing. I think maybe I'm crazy. I'm pretty sure the beat name was Going Crazy or something like that. So it already took its shape in the beginning. And that happened with some of the other songs. Control was another one that like, that's the name of the song and that's the name of the beat. So that kind of decided what it was. But then there's other ones where like I sat on these beats for a minute before like the words finally came to me kind of thing. But it's all my life. It's all my experiences. And so that's where it all comes from. So that kind of has to happen sometimes. And other times, like I said, it pops right out, you know?
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I'm going to hold you to that. I want to hear this sneak peek. So
Yeah.
I'm excited
You're going to love it, bro. You're going to love it.
And I know you said you slimmed it down to 13.
Mm-hmm.
I'm secretly hoping there's a deluxe edition where we get to hear some of those.
We're working on it.
Because
We're
I love
working
that
on
too.
it.
So.
We're working on it. We're trying to decide. I had, there's a shout out to my boy K Truth. He's trying to buy this one beat from me, and he's bro, whatever you want, I got it in cash right now, and I know he has it in cash, but I can't let go of the beat because the words are starting to form now, and I think it's one of those ones where like if and when we throw it on the deluxe edition, like it's gonna have its own moment. Yeah, there's probably gonna be a deluxe.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
You go from recording in a beautiful studio in different cities, right? I want you to go back to when you're younger, you're starting out brand new.
Yeah.
What's one of the sketchiest places that you've ever had to record? Someone says, hey, come over to my place. Let's test out some beats. Maybe this isn't even when you're under Hendo Soul.
Yeah.
Knowing you for so long, James, I know when you were Rev James 13.
Yeah.
I get to know some of the OG names. So.
Yeah.
But what's one of the weirdest or sketchiest places you've ever recorded?
It was always basements, man. It was always basements. Studios were always in somebody's basement. And so sometimes Landon his parents had a really nice sub basement. So that wasn't bad. It just got cold down there, but they had all kind of heaters and like blankets and stuff. So they made it comfortable. But
was Landon the big white?
Yeah, Royce Ross.
The one that was always freestyling.
Yeah. Shout out to my boy.
Gotcha.
And then there was other people who had studios in their basement, but it was a crappy basement, and it was one little tiny window up in a tiny like in the corner of the wall kind of thing. I've done a couple of those, and that was when I was younger. Then I stopped recording for a long time, and then when I started recording again, I had money for studios. A good studio has a good $100,000 worth of equipment sitting in front of you at all times.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Not to mention the microphones and all that other kind of stuff. That's what makes the difference, is that the kind of quality sound they can produce in that studio versus somebody who has
like $70.
You know what I'm saying?
They torrented some software.
Yeah. And my home setup is pretty expensive, but it's still like nothing in comparison to like what Tree Sounds or somebody of that caliber has going on, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of basements. I never did anything else, but it felt like people's basements.
How has fatherhood changed your perspective or your drive?
That's why I'm doing it, honestly. That's just the bottom line. It's hard to look your kids in the face and be like, chase your dreams, son. It's like I stopped for the sake of whatever. Yeah, it's a valiant thing to raise children, 100%. But like I want my children to see me chasing a goal and being relentless in the pursuit of it until we achieve that kind of thing. If I would have still played football, well, I played semi-pro, but had I played like college or something like that, I would have loved for them to see the same thing.
Yeah.
But that's what this is all about. Just, I believe in myself, and I believe in my music, and I believe in my vision, and it's just, how much do you believe? Do you believe enough to just tell people or do it?
You had sent me a Snapchat the other day of one of your kids was walking around listening to one of your songs.
Yeah.
So your creativity has created something that they can take with them the rest of their lives and listen to. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that was a cool moment. He came in playing, I only have one music video for my very first song, Crazy Stupid Love Songs. We recorded it in New York. But yeah, he came into the room, just was playing my music video on the iPad. He's like, "It's you, Dad." I was like, "Yeah, it is me, man. Thanks."
So that's awesome.
Yeah, that was dope.
And I was listening to one of your songs.
Yeah.
Mama's Child.
Yeah.
And one of the lyrics was, "My mama's ain't no gangster."
My mom on that gang shit. Yeah.
You had called us once.
Yeah.
Me and Shiny.
Wow.
you said, hey, I need you to get a bike from my garage. Can you break into my house?
Yeah.
Get a bike for me. And so we did it because
Yeah.
you told us to. Your mom flew open the door. She looked like she was going to whoop our ass, okay?
Yeah, that's about
And
it.
luckily, since Shiny is bald,
Yeah.
she recognized him immediately. And she started laughing. She's like, oh, hey, guys. And she closed the door.
Yeah.
But that line, when I heard that line, I thought of that moment. And
Yeah.
I was like, that is so beautiful. Because it
Yeah.
reminded me, that sums up your mom perfectly. That is a beautiful lyric. So.
Yeah. She's a firecracker.
Yeah.
She's a firecracker. Yeah.
You mentioned this a couple times. I wanted to ask you, did you say the TV show, is this referring to the documentary?
No. The documentary is its own thing that we're doing to help promote the album and to kind of show the energy and the effort that we put into it, to give people a reason to listen to it, put a face to the name, if you will. And then the TV show that I'm working on is, we learned about James Baldwin in this history class I just got done taking. And I thought about writing a memoir just because I enjoy writing and I wanted to get back into writing. But then I thought, what if I didn't? What if I did something cooler? And I always said that, like, one of the people that I look up to as far as like a career development path is Donald Glover, right? Like the music and then, writing for 30 Rock and then being on Community and then executive producing or directing Atlanta. Like that kind of career path is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so I thought to myself, like, best case scenario, let's say I drop this album and it creates some shock waves. Somebody picks me up and I get to go open up on tour for somebody. And I get to build my own fan base and start getting a little bit of revenue and selling some merch. The second album drops, we create a household name kind of thing. We get some stuff picked up for TV, or maybe our song gets picked up for a movie, or we get a commercial or something. What I want to do is I want to capitalize on that. And I want to keep the ball rolling, but in not like a gimmicky way, but I want to have like a 4 to 8 year run.
Yeah.
That's just, I hit them with the greats back to back to back. And in 8 years, boom, I step out and I Dave Chappelle them. And I chill. And then when I come back, I'm just doing comedy and like popping up in people's TV shows, or like maybe I write another TV show kind of thing. But yeah, and I feel like the 90s are very in right now. So like, and people, I think they're struggling to come out with good TV that people want to watch.
Yeah,
and
for
my
sure.
show, because of the setting and where we're at with the story, allows for there to be a very diverse cast and set. And it's like I said, it's a Everybody Hates Chris meets like a Donald Glover's Atlanta, but set in the Midwest in the late 90s, early 2000s with a middle-class black family, two parents who were Marines. My sister was in the National Spelling Bee. I played for this crazy football team, and my little sister was my little sister. It's the stuff we were doing in middle school.
Crazy football team, was that a shout out to the Bombers, by the way?
Come on, man. BC Bombers, you know what it is. 3-time national championship.
And
know
you
what it
guys,
is.
you beat the Bobcats, didn't you?
Yeah,
I just want to shout. I just want to
just sort of for the record, I know I don't know what year anniversary we're on, but yeah, man, talk shit, get hit. You know what it is. It's Big Bombers. While after we won that game, shout out to Ryan and Justin Thomas. Their grandma made burritos for everybody, and my mom made sweet tea, and it was one of the best nights of my whole life.
So writing the scripts now
Yeah.
to capitalize on the success.
Yeah,
I get
yeah,
what you're saying.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I wanted to use this opportunity, first off, to say thank you.
For sure.
This was
No,
a
thank
beautiful
you.
interview.
Thank
This was
you.
awesome. If you want to plug anything again, I know we did this at the beginning,
Yeah.
but repetition is important.
I got you.
Hendo Soul
Yeah.
on Spotify, Apple.
Apple, yeah, man. Check out the album Lavender. I put my heart and soul into this. It's a method of healing, man, but it's not like your traditional. It's not your traditional healing. It's different. It's soul music. It's conscious soul music. It's good for the soul. It's good for the heart. It's good for the body. It's stuff you can clean to, stuff you can cook to, stuff you can hang out with your girl to. It's dope. It's dope. 13 bangers on that bad boy. Definitely check that one out. Check out the documentary. We don't have a name for it just yet. I actually, shout out to my boy Kev. I got to go and send Kev the instrumentals to some of the music for the documentary. But yeah, that's it. I'm doing Casey Fun and Fit Day in July, emceeing that. So that'll be kind of cool. But yeah, and I'm working with a couple choreographers now to start doing some of these music videos and whatnot. But yeah, man, check out Lavender. It'll be dropping this fall. If you're an avid listener, keep listening to my man's podcast. But yeah, that's it. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, awesome. No,
Hell
I
yeah.
appreciate it. And check out Hendo Soul.
Yes, sir.
My favorite song is Crazy Stupid Love Song.
You like that one?
I love that one.
Thanks, man.
And then I did want to finish with one story.
Sure.
I remember in high school, I was in a multimedia class, hence why I'm podcasting now. And I got to walk around with a camera. And sometimes we would goof off and slide into a classroom where no one was there, and we would just waste the hour, right?
Yes.
Just waste time.
Yes.
And I slid into a theater class, and there was a piano, and I was just relaxing. I was like, okay, it's the end of the day. I don't want to do anything. And you show up, and you started playing piano. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
You were playing piano, and I just got like another mini concert. So not only have I seen you give me a mini concert with rock songs, but you did like a piano, it was beautiful, man. So I appreciate a life of music
Thanks,
and memories.
Thanks, man.
And I appreciate you, James.
Hell
Thank you.
dog. Thank you so much, man. This podcast has been awesome. Appreciate you.
So
thanks, dog.
thank you, Hendo Soul. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And next time.
We're out.